You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, do us a favor and like and subscribe and comment on the video. Subscribe to the podcast on whatever audio podcast you're listening to and give it a 5-star review. It costs nothing but helps keeps all of this free. If you want even a little bit more, join the Insiders program down in the subtext link below. No trolls, 14-day free trial, and the easiest way ever to cancel. So give that a try. And don't forget to check out a second listen on the network. Nearly every team, college or pro, is ready for you. That's pretty awesome stuff indeed. Now, we talked about the slow start that Austin Simmons got off to in the Ole Miss Kentucky game. And he did get off to a slow start. Kentucky was up 10-0 early in the second quarter. They had all of the momentum. Kroger Field was absolutely rocking. And this was a game that we had seen multiple times last season, to where in that year, Lane Kiffin didn't have a plan B. Kentucky made it into a rock fight, and there was nothing you could do because there was no plan B. This year, there was a plan B. There was a real plan B. And the best part about this, I always close every podcast with analytics or just the old English words that mean bad football. You saw Lane Kiffin taking points. You saw Lane Kiffin being very methodical. You saw Lane Kiffin playing slow at times for time of possession to keep his team on the ball. You saw him kicking field goals and taking points, even when that might not necessarily have been the play in 2021 or 2022. You saw a very grown-up version of Lane Kiffin as a college football coach. Against the Georgia Bulldogs, he respects the heck out of Kirby Smart, and he should. Kirby Smart's win-loss record absolutely through the roof. But you don't look at Kentucky the same way. Last year, Kentucky was Ole Miss in 7 as far as the record inside the SEC. Lane Kiffin, that ate at his crawl a little bit as well. So Lane taking the stuff and playing the stuff by the numbers was music to my ears. Is this the sign of a new Lane Kiffin? You have a kicker that, until he hit an upright in the first quarter of the game, had never missed a kick over 50 yards. He's got a monster leg of what he can do. He's going to be a great kicker. He's on the Lou Groza watch list, and wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if he won the dang thing. He is a really good place kicker. The punt game, fantastic. The defense is good. You can trust it. And because of that, I think you can see Lane Kiffin morphing into that Nick Saban thing, to where we're going to rely on our defense a little bit while we figure this out offensively. We're going to kick the ball. We're going to make sure every possession ends in a kick if we can. And we are going to go just out-talent you, because there's great talent at wide receiver. There's talent on the offensive line, at running back, even at quarterback, tight end. There's players all over the field to where, in a lot of cases, they can just out-talent you. Lane Kiffin, I think, sees that. And he saw that at the end of the first quarter, and it's like, hey, we're not going to panic, okay? We're going to play like the favorite. We're the favorite in this game. We have a better team than they have. We need to just handle our business and do what we need to do, and not try and score a 14-point touchdown to take the lead after being down 10-0. And what you saw was Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss take over that game. Ironically, it was a 4th down conversion, which I had no problem with, because it wasn't an analytics call. It was a momentum call. It was a try and flip the game type call. That wasn't just a, hey, it's 4th and 2, we need to go for it thing that you see on the bottom of the ESPN TV. No, Ole Miss had a play to Harrison Wallace. They knew they could take advantage. They decided on a back shoulder. It ended up being like a 50-yard reception. That was the reason that Harrison Wallace was the Locked On Ole Miss player of the game. That was the play in that game. And it was a 4th down, but it was the only 4th down of the night. They kicked field goals. They punted. They ran the ball. They were okay with going 3 and out. They trusted the personnel that they had. And that all put together gives me a lot of hope for the season, especially with road games at Georgia and road games at Norman and LSU coming up, all of these things make me feel good about what can happen. And for people that are just tuning into the podcast, playing like a favorite doesn't mean not going for it. Okay. It means not just going for it because it's 4th and 2. You need to have a reason for what's going to happen there. And that reason needs to be, oh, we want to keep the ball. It needs to not just be, we want to keep the ball. If you have a reason, if you have a play, all of that stuff in the quiver on the offense, yes, go for it. But other than that, if you don't have just a surefire thing that you feel 90% confident in, you punt the football. You kick a field goal. If you do that, you are going to win most of the games that you play because you have better players than most of the teams you're going to go against. I think Ole Miss yesterday came out at number 14 in the coaches poll, or number 13 in the coaches poll, in the SID assistants poll, and they moved up to number 17 in the non-ball knowers poll, plus Michael Katz. So those two polls, Ole Miss is going in the right direction as far as kind of filling in a narrative of what can happen. This was a big game for Lane Kiffin as a coach. Now, part of that has to do with the fact that the offensive line, hey, who knew it? They're pretty good at what they do. And part of that stems from them getting Delano Townsend back, who's only going to get better. He's an underclassman playing on the left guard. Patrick Kas kind of getting into game speed a little bit. And by the end of the game, they were able to run the ball pretty much at will. You saw Trinidad Chambliss come in that everybody knew what was going to happen, and Kewan Lacey was making plays. You saw Ole Miss gain 158 yards, according to the SEC network, before contact. That's an offensive line thing. That is a situation to where you have a chance to be pretty good because of that. Everybody's going to nitpick a clip here or a clip there or something going on about what happened. That's just what's going to happen in this modern world. But if you look at the best offensive line in the NFL, you can nitpick a clip here or a clip there if you want to do that. There's confirmation bias all over the place, but Ole Miss won the game against Kentucky because of the offensive line. So I think the narrative of the offensive line being this horrible, horrible wart that you're trying to cover up, it kind of needs to go away because the stats don't kind of air it out as well. So we will see how that looks against the Arkansas Razorback. This is going to be a lesser defense, supposedly lesser. And we'll see if Ole Miss can run the ball like they did against Kentucky against the Arkansas Razorbacks, and if Austin Simmons can get off to a little bit quicker start. Avoid the turnovers early in the game because Arkansas offensively is good enough to make you pay if that happens. It's 14-0 if that happens. You give Arkansas's offense a short field, Bobby Petrino, Taylor Green, that's 14-0. And that might be a bridge too far. So it's going to be on Austin Simmons to kind of play within himself against the Arkansas Razorbacks and not turn over the football. Now, the other thing is I expect Trinidad Chambliss to have a little bit of a package in this game as far as running the ball. If we saw Austin come off not being able to put weight on his foot, he looked all right at the end of the game. I think he could have gone back in the game, and I'm almost positive he will start against the Arkansas Razorbacks. We'll hear a little bit later on today from Lane Kiffin about that. But if you do all of that stuff, just play clean. If Ole Miss just plays clean for 60 minutes, I don't know if there's a team on their schedule that can beat them. The only way right now I see that they could lose a game on their schedule, if they play clean, is if they help the other team in some way. And you saw that with a roughing the passer penalty that got them going on their long drive. 2 interceptions for Kentucky. It's a game that should have been a 3-score win by Ole Miss. But because Ole Miss helped Kentucky, it was a lot harder than that. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Stick around. Coming up next, we'll break down who could surprise, what are the lines to consider this week in the SEC, and how this betting week could shape the mood for the Rebels and beyond. Anyway, thank you for making Locked On Ole Miss your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves on offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. If you don't believe me, Google Ole Miss Podcast and see how much we come up on that page. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's absolutely free. Your support means the world to us. And another big moment for Locked On, college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12, who had a rough weekend, honestly, leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson and former college star Jesse Holley and Locked On's panel of local experts. A college football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every single Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Hotty toddy, everybody. And remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.